Thank you for the little tip there. I've been wandering around for quite a while now.
Yes.
I hear
Hey.
you. I can hear you from California.
Sweet. That's some
I'll turn my
projecting,
microphone down.
right?
That's pretty much the back of the theater for me.
We're simulcasting to all of our usual services.
Everywhere, yeah.
Nope. All right.
It's a lot of plates to keep spinning.
Here. Hello, everybody out there in Mutants and Masterminds Sunday land.
That's not correct. We don't do Mutants and Masterminds Sunday. We go for Mondays for the alliteration.
That's true.
Right.
That's right.
We
That's
have to call it supers and Sutants and Sasterminds.
that's actually closer to reality.
Masterminds is us.
Masterminds is, yeah.
We are Sasterminders for short. Hello,
We're getting
friends
a product change.
out there on Facebook and YouTube. I'm wondering if you can hear everybody. We're going to get this party started. 'Cause I've had about enough.
So, I mean, is there a lead-in? Did we play the music already?
You know, it's really difficult when you can't hear it, right? It kind of throws off our
Right.
energy. But I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to hold on real quickly.
We didn't get our modesty shield either.
No.
Mm.
Right.
Oh, it is.
Oh. Oh no, our modesty.
Thanks, Troy, and thank you very much. And back at you. We want to appreciate or thank you for doing this and approaching us with the idea of bringing your Mutants and Masterminds Monday one day early from our convention, the RPG Alliance Con 2021. So thank you very much to the entire panel, Steve, Alex, Crystal, and of course the disembodied voice of Troy. And welcome. The stage is yours, so have yourselves a good time.
Let's do this. And okay, so Crystal, Alex, Steve, hi. This is a little different.
Hi.
A little different than we do normally, and I'm here for it. I'm all about it. This Mutants and Masterminds Sunday is an opportunity for us. We're actually even elongating the show. So we started at 5 minutes after, which means we're early. We've also got some great stuff to kind of discuss. We're really, we're into it. Sound is good on Facebook. Thank you, Victor. What is our topic of the day?
Well, today we thought we'd kind of go back to basics and talk about getting the most out of your Mutants and Masterminds characters and the different ways you can play the game, the different kind of character roles you can fall into. And a lot of this is also going to be usable for game masters who want their villains to do something besides punch or blast every round.
That's right. And so for friends that are here, that are hanging out with us in, in Gathertown at the actual digital convention, I want to encourage you to mute. And if you've got a question, you're going to find some little hand, like there's a hand and some other, like a question mark. Feel free to use that to get our attention, and we will do as we do. When we're doing this, for on Mondays, we'll ignore you. No, I'm kidding. We won't really. I promise we will. We will endeavor to include you. But that's great. Okay, well, so before we do that, I do want to say that the RPG Alliance convention, we had Malcolm on yesterday. It's us right now, and then later on, Alex has agreed to do an actual play of his own making, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's a never-before-seen adventure by anyone, including me.
I like this.
Secrets, Alex.
I like the sound of that, and it's so it's going to be 5 hours of Mutants and Masterminds, magnificence and
Shenanigans. Is probably a better
shenanigans probably is more apt. And then, do you want to tell folks a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So tonight we are playing Freedom League All in the Family, which deals with the Olympian Greek god family sort of bringing the Freedom League into their drama, into their nonsense.
I didn't know Alex Keaton was a Greek god.
It's a true story.
Little Easter egg there for all of our 40 and up Mutants and Masterminds.
Right. I'm trying to remember the theme song. I'll think on that. But while I think on that, and also ponder the fact that I just realized that I ate 2 pieces of cheesecake for breakfast this morning, so it's going to be a little weird today. So
you're disembodied though, so you'll be okay.
That's true.
Right. Cancel out the loginess.
That's right. It's true. But let's dive into this subject and have a go.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I mean, I think one of the issues that comes up a lot is everybody wants to play, the superhero who punches with Superman's strength, or the person with eye beams, or some variation thereof, and they play that a couple of times, and then they think, well, is that all Mutants and Masterminds does? Do I just attack with my one basic attack every round? Are there other things I can do? Are there other, like, what do I do in this game besides punch villains? So we talked about this a little bit in the Super Team Handbook, which I happen to have with me, and sort of break out what you can do every round, or what you can build your character towards, into different tactical roles and different concept roles, and you can mix and match tactical roles and combat roles to get unique character concepts. And the idea being, like, do you attack somebody every round? Because there's a lot of things you can do to support your team or harass your enemies that can really improve chances for success when you combine them with other members on your team.
Well, that's one of the key things that the Super Team Handbook points out, is that although there are a lot of solo superheroes in the comics, Mutants and Masterminds, because role-playing is generally a group activity, tends to be focused on the concept of the superhero team rather than necessarily the solo superhero. Even if your characters might be the Justice League types who have their own solo adventures, the series is usually focused on what they do when they come together as the team of the world's greatest heroes.
Yeah, and I mean, the classic example is, I've got the ranks in deception and the setup advantage, so I can use taunt to basically leave an enemy flat-footed against me, and then hand that to my teammate with the super strength, who winds up for a power attack.
Mm-hmm.
So they're attacking a villain who takes a big penalty to their defense and can translate that into a big bonus on damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's other things that you can do as a support character too that are really, I think it really emphasizes that not everybody needs to do an attack every round. Like you can inspire your team, you can do the setup stuff like Crystal was talking about. You can create environmental situations that improve the odds of everybody or make your villains' lives more difficult. So there's all sorts of things that you can do that aren't necessarily I walk up and I punch him in the mouth.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the tactical roles we break out into, assault, which is your basic frontline fighter. You're going to be the character who's generally hitting harder or hitting more accurately and maxing out your damage every round. Control characters, which are, and it's not to say that, you can't also have, a strong attack with any of these. These are just ideas to give you more things to do in a fight.
Right.
But control characters are more about, inflicting penalties on the other team or giving your team bonuses. So your classic luck controllers that can force enemies to reroll or give free rerolls to your friends, or somebody with the environment power who can create selective penalties like fog or driving rain, or you can use the environment power to simulate somebody who fills the entire room with imaginary chewing gum that slows down the people you target and leaves your allies fine. But it's people who use their action every round not necessarily to inflict damage, but change up the battlefield, change up the bonuses that your allies get. It's even somebody just with the teamwork feat, giving a bonus to their allies attack rolls every round.
I have a question. So, go ahead, Steve.
So speaking of bonuses, the controller role and all of their associated things points to something that some folks find as sort of a sticking point for Mutants and Masterminds, which is buffing effects. Because Mutants and Masterminds uses the power level mechanic to provide some guidelines for game balance for the different characters. A lot of times, it's pretty common for characters to be pretty maxed out in terms of the power level limits of the given series. So unless there's a really specific power level limit breaking bonus, there isn't a lot of room for stacking additional bonuses on top of what the characters have got. But as Crystal has pointed out, there's really no mechanical difference between a penalty to your opponents and a bonus to the characters. And so sometimes you can build something like an environmental effect or some other type of effect that produces a penalty to the other side, reducing their defense, and consider that effectively a bonus to the hero's attacks, at least conceptually. That they're easier to hit.
If you do like the idea of somebody who boosts their team's powers in general, you could really cheeseball the point system or the point economy and have everybody on your team buy up only half the attack bonus they need, and then your controller character buys enhanced attack bonus, area effect, affects others, selective, and turns it into an area like super tactical field or area predictive combat or something like that you use your a little more than what you'd spend on your own attack bonus to give your whole team a big attack bonus to hit their power level caps.
Yeah, you have to really coordinate with your teammates to make something like that.
That's what I was going to ask about this stuff. I mean, so
you really do.
Yeah, how much of that goes on? I could imagine, if you were really playing a team, and over the long haul, you would get very familiar with what sort of skills and feats that your other teammates had, so you could trigger them almost. Like you by doing a thing or moving into formation. Like I think about Colossus and Wolverine.
Yeah,
And
the infamous fastball special.
That's right. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that is a classic example of the team attack, where two or more members of the team make an attack on the same person at the same time to bump up their maximum damage beyond what their power level allows.
See, no, I just haven't. Maybe, and again, I've only seen 11 billion different games, or different, sort of mutants and masterminds. What the hell am I even trying? I'm losing words. When people get together and they do that thing, I've seen that a few times, but I've not seen a real coordinated, orchestrated teamwork kind of thing. Is it maybe I just wasn't paying attention, or is that a thing that people do? I'm also interested in hearing from folks who are watching, whether you're here at the con or you're watching via the stream. Real quick, I want to say hello to Apuk and hello to Michael. Good to see you, and welcome to Mutants and Masterminds Sunday. And but yeah, so about that, coordinating your powers and collaborating like that just seems to me like it would open up just a world of real clever, fun things that to be done.
Oh,
it does.
Yep. One of my personal favorite characters I ever played was someone with invisibility and just an average blaster pistol, and she didn't really. I ended up dumping almost all of her points into skills and advantages instead of combat abilities. But every round I could, be tripping a villain or be distracting them to set up another hero to hit harder, or doing an aid attack, or picking a villain's pocket to get some piece of equipment or intelligence that they didn't want us to have. Just when all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, but when you've got a whole toolbox, you start thinking of really fun, weird ways to play your character.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And it definitely boils down to familiarity with the system. I think there's a lot of instances where people haven't played the game a lot and they turn into just punch everybody, but...
Yeah, it's like playing the fighter as your first character in D&D. It engages with the fewest number of rules, so it gets you on the table and playing a lot faster.
Yeah, but there's lots of ways that you can coordinate team efforts, and like I usually see it with characters trying to overcome like the big bad guy at the end of the fight. If they're having trouble overcoming toughness or having trouble landing hits, they'll all get together and do a big team attack, which is a whole bunch of fun. I also see it a lot during skill challenges where one character has the teamwork advantage but isn't necessarily awesome at any specific thing for the challenge, so they'll use their time in the challenge aiding another character with what they're working on. And that leads to a good group storytelling beat as the two characters work together, and I give them narrative control to sort of explain how they're going through the skill challenge as a team, which is a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, a useful GM trick if your players are not picking up the idea that they can do a lot of this stuff is to set them up with a training montage of some kind. If they have a mentor or a patron or somebody else who's providing them with lots of resources or cool toys or things like that, or basically can get them to do things, have that person encourage them to up their tactical game by saying, hey, you guys need to do some training, some exercises to improve your teamwork, sort of a thing. And if you want to be really sneaky about it, you say, okay, this week we are going to work on this maneuver and have that maneuver be something that's important later on, something that they can really use, where they can go, hey, that maneuver we've been working on would work really well against this guy.
I love
it. Legend of Zelda School of Design.
Right, exactly. That's right.
These villains are very dangerous. Here, take this.
The other really effective tactic is if you think there's something fun your players are missing out on, have the villains use it against them at some point. Yeah, having somebody on your opponent villain team whose whole job is to, taunt the heroes or just aid their bigger buffer allies. Like,
Mhm.
build yourself a little PL6, PL7 loser villain whose whole shtick isn't necessarily hurting the villain or hurting the heroes so much it is like pumping up their allies' egos.
The cautionary
Or just
tale. Yeah.
or just
I'm the
really,
hype
really
man.
annoying the heroes. Yeah.
That sounds like a job for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And how much time and energy have you, as people who are, you're at the peak of leadership when it comes to, running tabletop role play games. Uh, do you create that kind of training session? It's almost like this is sort of pause in the middle, session zero, like a now let's get to know each other sort of opportunity. I mean, what
Yeah.
do you do that, or I
Yeah.
mean,
Sometimes.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, sometimes I will just start it as a sort of a fait accompli at the beginning of an adventure. If I know the heroes have the resources for it, I'll just start things off with, okay, so the scene opens and you are in your, combat simulator and you're practicing this thing, and that's just the beginning scene to kind of warm up and give the heroes a chance to fight some robots or holograms and practice their combat moves, and then we just jump into the main part of the adventure.
So, Alex, you do a lot of work that I've seen, with pre-gens and getting a group together because kind of, yeah, right. I mean, you talk about kind of your library of pre-gens, which I think is kind of awesome because you do a lot of, you'll be at conventions and you'll, do that stuff. Um, do you take time for people to get to know the hero? Do you like, I mean, some people may know them very well because they come from, a well-known supergroup or something, but even I think the most experienced players, if they don't know the actual human behind the character, it can be very difficult, I think, to kick off that teamwork vibe or even to presume that they're going to pick up on it. Yeah, I'm wondering how you manage that. Are there any special rules or things that you do to make space for that?
So there's one thing that I do with my pre-gens that isn't necessarily stat block related, especially for my Titan City stuff where it's not a well-known property. I'll add a sheet, a one-page sheet to each character sheet that has 5 or 6 personality words to sort of key people into the kind of personality the character has.
I like it.
I'll give a line about like a one-sentence description of their relationship with other members of the party that are present. And I'll give a couple of like favored maneuvers, and I'll give a little explanation as to what those maneuvers do to help get the players thinking in that headspace. Not necessarily bogging them down with backstory and everything, but getting them sort of little carrots that they can latch onto from an acting and from a combat perspective.
Interesting. So, have you found that to be a pretty like shorthand way of getting people working together as a team?
Yeah, and usually one of the benefits of running a convention one shot is people are buying in to the system. Literally, in a lot of cases, they're paying $4 to come play a game, but they've sat down and they're like, "I'm really excited to be this team of heroes, and I'm here to see this story, and we're going to get everything done that we could get done." And people are usually they show up and they're ready to go, and they're ready
for that warming. Yeah.
They're ready to buy in, and they're ready to jump in full all the way into the water, into the deep end.
I love it.
And I will do some stuff as a GM while I'm running where I'll be like, hey, just so you know, since you haven't played a lot of M&M, this is something that you guys could do if you're interested in that. And this is the drawback to doing that.
It's
sort of, just feeding them a little bit of information.
Sorry. Go ahead, Crystal.
I was just going to say, it's kind of like when you're starting with new players in the age system, also by Great Ronin, giving them 1 or 2 favored stunts that you can use each round that just have the rules right there on the character sheet, where you don't necessarily have to look through the whole like 4-page menu of stunts. You can just look at your character sheet and like, do I want to hit again, or do I want to hit for extra damage on this one?
That's where I got the idea from.
Oh, really? Yeah, I love that.
It's very useful shorthand that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it also seems to me like a very almost something that we could make, to sort of help new people, on board. I like that. I like it a lot. I'd ask a question to the chat, and I want to extend it to anybody here. do you practice any sort of getting to know you activities, or beyond the this is more than just icebreaker. This is it's about how you get the team to gel and to do certain things that are that only a team can do in those special moments where they're like getting ready to kick some butt. But yeah,
Right.
so if anybody's got any thoughts, let us know.
I'm automatically reminded of the scene from the Justice League animated series where the Secret Society are doing trust falls.
Mhm.
So that they can be better. They can have better teamwork as villains. And they're all like, "You're going to catch me, right?" Like, oh, stop being a wuss about it.
Are you going to wash your hands?
Trust issues.
Right.
I love it.
So I saw that Trevor asked about how the initiative system works in relationship to teamwork, because the characters are always going on different initiative phases, and oftentimes that's sort of random.
Where did you see that?
It's
I saw
on
it in
the
I saw it in the
RPGA
chat.
Oh, it is. Okay, it's on this side of the chat, right?
Yes,
I
you're watching like
see.
6 different chats.
I am.
Troy.
I also want to say apologies if you're hearing some kind of sort of like a flatulence noise. It's really my chair. It just keeps making.
Yeah, that's Troy's story, and he's sticking to it.
That's right. I did eat 2 pieces of cheesecake for breakfast. So, but yeah, please let me cork it, as it were, so that you can describe this.
So anyway, initiative, a lot of the actions you do to help teammates or inhibit an opponent last until the beginning of your next turn or the end of your next turn. So if you use taunt to leave an opponent flat-footed, they stay flat-footed against you until the start of your next turn, or sorry, the end of your next turn.
Yep.
So,
I was going to say, in fact, you can tell whether or not something is designed to aid your allies or you by usually when the effect ends. If it ends at the beginning of your turn, it's probably not something meant to benefit you, because chances are you won't get a chance to take advantage of it before the duration ends. But if it ends at the end of your turn, it's something that you could potentially benefit from, or you could potentially give the advantage to someone else, depending on how it works.
Yeah, and stuff that's more actively like we're acting together. The faster character has to hold until the next character's turn, which can be a price for working together, because that also moves that character into that initiative spot for the rest of the fight as well.
Yep.
Which can lead to a situation where all of the heroes go and then all the bad guys go, if something like that happens.
If everybody delays, yeah.
But yeah, so we've talked about controlling. We haven't really talked about the protection roll yet, which is, instead of using your turn every round to buff your allies or harm your opponents, you're using your action every round to stop your allies from getting hit, so they're up longer and can deal out more damage in the long run. Or they can, let loose and hit with, say, all-out attack without worrying about the villain following up with a KO move. So this is stuff like your force field controllers, who can use the deflect power to stop people from hitting them. It's also things like Colossus throwing himself in front of every opponent's, blasts with the interpose advantage.
Yeah. Interpose is definitely the classic protector move.
Yeah, interpose and or deflection are create also lets you basically create force fields in midair. So if you want to build a character who's focused on keeping civilians out of harm's way or bubbling up an enemy so that they can't attack this round, one of the easiest ways to do that is seal them in a little bubble or cage made of green light that just forces them to break their way out.
Yeah. Build a big metal wall that breaks sight lines between the bad guys and the heroes.
Yeah.
Very useful for a lot of things.
That's also a way to replicate adding defenses to your allies. You're not necessarily giving them a numerical benefit, but you are still making it harder for the bad guys to hurt them.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, illusion is a really fun power for this, because you can use it to create illusory doubles of your allies.
Ooh, I like
Or-
that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Or
Definitely.
you could swap a
And-
bad guy and a good guy with the illusion.
Protector types benefit a lot from the opportunity to spend hero points to automatically counter things,
Yes.
to do a quick, immediate counter effect. That's a great opportunity because oftentimes, again, we talk about things happening out of initiative order. If you're the protector and you've already gone, and a villain comes up with a big heavy hitter attack, you can always say, I'm going to spend a hero point and I'm going to try and counter their attack before it wipes out my teammate.
Real quick, I did want to say Liz Court says hello to Calamity and Ada too.
Liz has a priority straight.
Yeah.
For those who are not in the know, Calamity and Ada are my dogs. Ada gets very excited every time she hears me on a meeting, so you'll hear her barking.
Just her way of saying hello. Every time Ada barks, a new Easter egg has been released, and you should go find it.
No, I am not. We are not encouraging those Easter eggs in the house.
No.
Not anymore. Not again. I refuse.
Ada is the infamous business corgi.
That is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. Two
For
new
regular
eggs.
listeners, you may know her as the nefarious Dr. Corgi.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. So, okay. So, what other roles when we think about kind of teamwork or even just like being able to just pull off a cool solo thing, outside of the context of a team dynamic, what else do we've got? I mean, it seems to me like we've got an infinity of choices, given.
I mean, it really depends on the kind of character you want to build and how you're building them. One of the ones I always thought was fun was the kind of transport character who gives your whole team other movement options besides, whatever they come equipped with. Or you can kind of band that to a hero who gives their team other power options that they don't have by default. So, like, this can be a telekinetic character who can basically give everybody on their team flight, or somebody who can create like a life support bubble so they give everybody around them the immunity power.
Right.
Ooh, a really fun sort of protector class, I guess, would be somebody with a variable immunity that affects everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just make everybody immune to the last energy type you got blasted by.
Super useful.
Very cool. Hey,
Way too useful.
Vicky's got a good question. Vicky asks, how much do your gaming groups RPG as secret identities, or is that even a thing in M&M? It is. Yeah.
Oh, it's a thing.
It can be. Yeah, it's definitely
a
a
whole
thing.
Secret identities are usually an excuse to build up a lot of hero points to use in your fights.
Yep.
So, my groups, I mean, we've played a lot of hero high adventures where we all knew about each other's superpowers and we were attending a superpowered school, sort of like Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Right.
So I guess in those cases, it's been a good, 30 to 50% of our time, playing in secret identities. But I've also been in games like Avengers or Justice League style where, we're almost always in our heroic identities doing whatever.
Yep. And even for those like character groups of heroes, you can set up specific sort of fighty sort of scenarios of, have the Sentinels, invited to play an exhibition baseball game for charity, and play it out. And, say, either, have, no powers or go all out and say they can use their powers. And see how quickly they, how many baseballs and bats they can destroy.
It's a Twilight
in the
episode.
space of one inning, right? It's like Twilight, exactly.
Yeah. Another really fun sort of mix and match with secret identities that I like is have one or two player characters appearing somewhere in their secret identity and the others in their heroic identities.
Mhm.
So if your hero is, the spokesperson for a company, they're on stage revealing something or making a public statement, and the other heroes are nearby because they expect trouble or because they're part of a hero initiative that the player company is teaming up with, or what have you.
Right.
We had something like that happen in Netherwar right after Steve was on the show, where two of the heroes had to be interviewed for the media with the press. One of them was the reporter. One of them was being interviewed, and then the villain who just betrayed Steve and killed him on my show was the other member of the interview.
So it was a little tense.
It was very tense.
We're all laughing. I've got a big question that's coming from the from our audience on the other side of things. But I did want to also say I could imagine too creating an endeavor where you must use your powers on the down low. Like you can't really make a lot. Let's say you're in a crowded, market or something, and you're trying to get, pass along whatever the microfiche. Do spies still deal in microfiche? I don't even know.
I think it'd probably be a thumb
Just use
drive.
a thumb
these
drive.
days.
Probably just a thumb drive. Yeah,
They're smaller.
You can tuck that pretty much anywhere. But yeah, so sorry, I love it when I crack my own self up. Here's Ted's question. Ted Sanderson says, "Could I please trouble you for a clarification on alternate effects? Can switching be done as a free action once per turn or per round? And when an array power is drained, disabled, nullified, and all powers in the array are similarly affected, does every power in the array get decreased, or just the ones with the affected descriptor? E.g., a power armor suit is has a fire blast, a fire beam, and enhanced strength as an array, and its fire powers are weakened. Would that also drain its enhanced strength?"
Oh wow, there's a lot to cover in
I
this.
know, right? I mean, I think Ted's been
Crystal,
sitting on this.
Do you want to tackle this one, or do you want me to?
What was the first half of the question? I'll tackle that. You want to tackle the second?
Sounds good. Can I please get a clarification on alternate effects? Can switching be done as a free action once per turn or per round? And when an array power, then we'll go. That's the next one.
I don't.
So my understanding for alternate effects is, and this is true of arrays of all kinds, is they can be switched once per round on your turn. So that is to say, you can't, take your turn and, say, you could, for example, take your turn and say, I'm going to use my array for a blast attack. And then at the end of my turn, I'm going to switch it to force field. That's legit because you can do it once on your turn. But, if you haven't switched your array and a villain or anyone else does something and you're like, wow, I really wish I could switch my array to this other thing, too bad. It's not your turn. You have to wait your turn until you actually switch your array around.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the next part of this is, and when an array power is drained, disabled, nullified, and all powers in the array are similarly affected, does every power in the array get decreased?
Generally, yes. Because mechanically, something like the weakened power is targeting those power points specifically behind the scene. I mean, depending on the situation, you could maybe argue okay, this fire controller weakened or drained my fire blast, but maybe I can switch to super strength because, they're draining the fire, not the energy I put into fire. But those are going to be, exceptions that are really down to, descriptors.
Yeah.
That might be the kind of thing as a GM I say, yeah, that'll work if you spend a hero point.
Okay, so then so you're saying that it would be that the array so basically let me read this one more time. So when an array power is drained, disabled, nullified, and all powers in the array are similarly affected, does every power in the array get decreased, or just the ones with the affected descriptor? So in that case, you could say spend a hero point.
Yeah, generally every power in the array.
There you go, friend. Yeah.
That's the base mechanic. If the GM decides to make an exception based on descriptors, that's kind of a GM call.
Well,
I'll point out baseline nullify is instant, so
Yep.
it just counters a power at that moment. So
Right.
whenever it's your turn again and you switch up your array, you've got the abilities back.
See, Ted, I'm not sure
Yes.
if you're a first-time viewer, but not only have we given you an answer to your question, we've also found a way for you to get around it.
We're gonna
That's
get a lot of angry GM emails.
again, they're just gonna be so mad. And I
Not it.
let's see. We mentioned that. Then okay. Then the last one was there. Okay, it was, and it's Fire Hazard Weekend. Okay, so the armor suit has a fire blast, fire beam, and enhanced strength as an array, and its fire powers are weakened. Is that just a
specific question?
Yes, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but generally, yes. Even the super strength is going to be drained if it's part of that same array. Again, the basics of the power are, or the basics of the weakened power, things like that, is targeting the power points, not the.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And Ted says, "Cool. Thank you, Stephen, Crystal, and Troy. I got one."
Yay!
Good job, Troy.
Thank you, everybody.
Step up, Alex. Come on.
You're welcome, Ted. Thanks for the question. And if anybody else,
To point out, I did say it depends at the beginning.
You did. That's
Yeah.
very true.
that is true. That is more succinct and less show helpful. But the answer is yes. Okay, well, great. So if anyone's sitting on some, you got a question, you need some arbitration, honestly, relationship advice, I think we'd be really good at that. Like, I think that's probably our next. Investment advice, I think, is something I could probably really help out with.
Hey, Dr. Phil's an electrician. We got this.
Oh, please. We're going to be doctors next.
No, that's depressing.
Yeah, it really is. Truly, truly is.
To be fair, I don't think Dr. Fate is actually medically licensed to practice fate.
No,
Oh, I see. It's just a nickname, really.
it's more of an honorary thing, I think.
Oh, like if you're the chef, they call you Cookie. Well, no, he's an actual
not
chef.
actually full of chocolate chips. Except me.
Right.
Here's my question: is Cookie Monster his name or his species?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
depends.
It depends.
Or is it his title? You
Or is it
know.
his title?
Oh, I gotcha.
Like Your Eminence.
Right.
Yes. Is there like a banana monster? Is the
Moving
banana?
along.
Right? Like,
You know there's a gravy squad.
Alex, you were the exact opposite of helpful.
Ted, you're a real champ. Ted signed it off with "and Alex." Very, very sweet.
I am a millennial. I will take my participation trophy.
Oh yes, we all are winners.
So, part of the reason we bring up the idea of different roles is because you as the GM, or even as players, can write up roles for your campaign. And
Yes.
we specifically did this in the Nether War series guide for our Astonishing Adventures, where you say, like, these kinds of story roles could be really useful in this campaign. So if you want to make sure you're stepping up and doing roleplay stuff or skill challenge stuff, like, these are skills and advantages and powers that could be really useful beyond, I have an energy blast and or super strength.
Right. Well, it's like casting the parts in a play, really, of saying, this particular adventure or series is definitely going to call for somebody who is a technical expert, who is going to be able to make repairs of things on the fly, because we know that that's going to come up at some point in the story. And so, it's kind of asking your players, so who wants to be that character?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what I
it's
love
not
about it,
necessarily.
I was gonna say what I love about it is it's not just mechanical stuff. It's also like story plot points that can be related to that character.
Absolutely.
Which really helps GMs get their brains ticking about the campaign as a whole, rather than just this is the mechanical contribution this hero will make.
And it also the ones for the Nether War also throw in complications that'll generate plenty of hero points for you, but won't necessarily hold you back too much. So, like, if you take vulnerability to magic, you're going to generate a lot of hero points because that is a very magic-centric storyline. But at the same time, you're also probably going to get knocked unconscious, mind-controlled, magically bound, transformed into a lizard. No, wait, it was transformed into a puppet.
Yes. Hate that guy.
You're going to have a hard time resisting the attacks of a solid 80% of the enemies in that game. I think you're really only going to do well against the evil pizza robots.
It's true. I mean, and building roles in that way can really help to provide some guidance to the players without necessarily giving away all of the what's going to happen in the game, but to sort of steer them away from problematic concepts or complications or the like that just wouldn't be fun for them.
Yeah, and I mean, other way around, this is kind of a useful tool if you as a player want to make sure the GM understands what you're looking for from your game experience. I wouldn't write it up the same way we do in the Super Team Handbook or the series guide for Nether War, but if you write down like, hey, these are the skills I think are really important for my character, and these are the advantages I think are like the ones I really want to play up.
Yep.
Can you make sure in this campaign these are things that come up from time to time so I can really feel cool? Like, that is an incredibly useful reminder for me as a GM who has to track, what my 4 to 6 players all want to do and what my villains are trying to accomplish and what these side NPCs all want out of their scheming or their jockeying or their exasperation at running a giant newspaper that doesn't have pictures of Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always assume that when players give their characters complications, they are telling me, the GM, this is the way I would prefer to receive my hero points.
Yes.
I also like to ask my players for a couple of villains from the setting that they want their character to have a relationship with, to also help see that sort of idea. If we're dealing with a universe that has well-known supervillains like Earth Prime or DC or Marvel, whatever we're playing.
Sure.
Yeah, if you're playing a game set in the MCU, well, actually, I guess the MCU is a bad example because they keep killing their villains in the MCU. But if you're playing a game set in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, maybe call out if you want a specific rivalry with Rocksteady and or Bebop, or if you think Mousers are awesome and want to fight them more, or yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that expansion of the relationship between the GM and the player. You make those requests. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I mean, push comes to shove. A wise man once said, "A role-playing game is just a story." And make sure everyone has fun telling that story.
Well, that sounds like a bunch of garbage, if you ask me.
Did you ask Twitter?
Lamentably, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think that's important for GMs to remember, is they don't have to be the end-all, be-all of the story. The players are there to participate, and they are there to take on some of that burden of storytelling. And when you get sort of up your own butt about the story and you fall in love with your idea, you can go off the rail and you can cause trouble for your players, which makes it less fun for everybody.
Yeah, I just want to say, as somebody who has developed adventures and adventure paths for far too many years, do not run adventures and adventure paths strictly as written. I don't. I mean, I have fun with it, customize it to your group, figure out what's working for your table and what isn't. If they like exploring the lore, add in your own lore, even if it means throwing out parts of the adventure. If they're really interested in, if they're really interested in the goblin they met at the tavern, who's only got one eye and has to sing everything he says because of a fey curse, but you wanted the adventure to be about, sacking the castle. Well,
Too bad.
Get really invested in one-eyed whistling goblins.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to say, yeah.
I mean, not necessarily, but figure out a way that one-eyed whistling goblin has issues in the castle.
That's right, yeah.
To give
It's
you an
like,
idea,
my other eye is in the castle, guys.
Right.
And I'll only sing off-key until I get it back.
That's right. That's right.
I have depth perception. It affects my tone.
Yes.
Vicky brings up, or Trevor rather, I'm sorry, brings up for folks who are just joining us, whether you're here in Gathertown or whether you are jumping online to say, what is it, Monday? I'm late for something. You're not. It's Sunday. I trust.
No.
Yeah. And if you've got questions, raise your hand. Do know that if you pop in and you are not muted, I may mute you, and I don't know what happens when that happens. I don't know if that keeps you muted forever. So if you try to talk and we don't hear you, haha. Just make.
Okay, I'm gonna add one more rank of sass to the disembodied voice power.
Yes,
The Mastermind.
True Sastermind.
the true Sastermind. Yeah.
All right, no. Where's my post-it notes? Because I need to stat up disembodied as a power for the Patreon.
I love it. Hey, go ahead. Were you going to say?
We had a running thing in our all of our campaigns. It's gaming group shorthand. That at one point we started using the term invangible for characters that are both invisible and intangible.
Oh, that's perfect.
I think because there was a character who could do both, and so it would always be, are you invisible or are you intangible? He's like, no, I'm invangible. I'm both.
That should be a word, honestly.
And so, well, it is. That's what my gaming group calls it all the time.
I love it.
Character is invangible.
That is truly, yeah.
Wow, that would be such an annoying character.
Yep, super annoying. Just for the record.
Absolutely. I was going to talk a little bit about Patreon, but where are we at on our kind of team dynamic and our different sort of archetypes?
I mean, we've gone over the basics. We could get into a lot more of like weird nitty gritty character stuff you can do as a player or as a GM.
Sure.
Especially if you're.
I was going to say, one of the other things I think we could talk about a little bit more is the concept roles. Because we've talked a lot about the sort of tactical aspects of character roles and teamwork and all of that. But we only sort of touched on concept roles when we were talking about the sort of prep work that game masters can do in terms of their series guide and the like. Of what role does the character play as a person, in the context of the series.
Yeah, it's more whereas the tactical role is what you do in a fight. Your concept role is more what you do in general, role playing, investigating, skills, things like that.
Right.
It's how your character kind of approaches the world and what kind of accent you put on.
Right. Like, is your character the leader type who feels responsible for everything and therefore takes on too much? And it's the type of character that their teammates have to say, look, we're taking you out for the night because you are way too stressed and you need to relax.
I didn't come here to be attacked.
Right? Yeah. I was like, just pour my purse out on the internet. Yeah.
Or you like the sort of swashbuckling, sort of hopeless romantic charmer who, doesn't take much seriously, and your role in the story is, you're there to step up for your friends, and a lot of the time you're there to start problems. But all of these are, concepts for your hero that have very different skills, and most importantly, have very different complications, like different ways you're going to earn hero points. Like your neurotic leader type is going to, maybe you decide complications are very open-ended. So maybe you decide you are fatigued whenever one of your teammates, fails a toughness check or fails some serious challenge against them. But when that happens, you get a hero point, or because you're so gutted by seeing your teammates hurt. Whereas your charmer might have like some kind of hot-headed complication where anytime they start a fight that didn't need to be a fight, they get a hero point. until it gets annoying.
Right. Hey, I wanted to say, Steve, a friend in the audience by the name of Willard Foxton Todd, which is the most pristine name. I love it. It is
Right.
so good. It says intangible is a super word, so I think you get a hero
Right.
point for that because
Excellent.
that is. I got to tell you, friend, that name is something. I mean, that is a.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to be writing some books, I think.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Did you say Willard Todd Foxtrot?
No, it is Willard Foxton Todd.
Todd. Yes.
Yes,
Of the internet Todd.
of the internet Todds. I love it. Love the name and the word and the conversation. Do we like what? Let's break this down. Is there other? I mean, like we're kind of headed into the sort of final stretch of our program today.
Mhm.
We got a couple things we want to cover on the Patreon side. I think a couple questions from Patreon, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, what's next?
Well, I did just want to add from the character concept. If you want to be a big A+ player, you can mine your concept and complications for what you want your story arc to be, what transformation you want your character to go through from the beginning of the campaign to the end of it. So you have that control of, I want my character to grow in this way, which is a whole bunch. That's a fun thing to add to the grit of the story.
That's very high level player stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, I mean, again, the concept rules are more intended to sort of give you a guide for how you can feel unique in the story. So you're not just an average wide-eyed. If everybody wants to play an average wide-eyed kid, then what unique place does anybody have in the story? But if you want, if you want one person on the team, if one person on the team wants to be, the wisecracking, goofball, and somebody wants to play the, amnesiac with a dark past, somebody wants to play the kid who's got something to prove and needs to step up every time. Like these are different concept roles that might feel similar if you played them without a little bit of direction in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
the inattentive genius.
But if you're there, if you go in with all of them kind of understanding, like, this is what I want out of my character, and like talking about these are the skills I want to be the best at, these are the advantages that I really want to come up, that's useful for you as a player, that's useful for other players, so they know if they want to feel special and unique, they can have different things to focus on. It's also useful for the GM, sort of spelling out what skills and situations their players expect.
Yeah, I mean, and what situations the GM can present those characters that are really going to motivate them, that are going to really get them to act, which is the key thing in the game.
The Super Team Handbook covers a lot of the basic archetypes, character tropes you'd see in comics, like the charmer, the comedian, the super genius, the hotshot, things like that. But if you go pick up the my brain is fried. I'm running out of caffeine. This Nether War series guide that gets into a lot of much more specific concepts, like the skeptic who doesn't believe in magic, or the inheritor who is supposed to accept some big magical legacy, and that's probably what you're building towards, or the lay person who doesn't know anything about magic, and you're sort of there as the audience insert to, so you can ask the obvious questions that all your players probably need the answers to.
Right.
It's like, a netherworld, what's that?
Well, as you know.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Apologies to people on stream. I was running to this to the online store. I was going to grab. I know that we've got, and I've just forgotten it, but we've got a code that we will share before the program's done. That'll give you a discount on on maybe that very suggestion. I have a weird question. I mean, I know that's weird in itself, but is there ever an occasion for an individual player, to manage what could be, whether by power or by just sort of genetics or something, mutation, they were playing two characters like twins, or can make multiples of yourself, or
Yes, we specifically have a power set called Summon that it's mostly made for like magic characters who can summon monsters to fight for them, or Green Lantern types who can make a construct out of energy. But it's also the way that the system makes duplicators, like Multiple Man, or characters who can Duo Damsel, Triplicate Girl. So there are definitely ways to create multiple characters. You can also use the minion sidekick advantage to invest a bunch of your power points into a second character.
Yep, absolutely.
There's another thing that I do to try to avoid bogging things down with a bunch of extra turn orders, where I'll just say, what do you want this group of duplicates to be able to do? And I'll just have them flavor like an affliction with that duplicate doing something, or a burst area damage or something like that, to keep those things moving.
Yeah, over on the Green Ronin blog, we've done some articles on other ways to use minions that don't eat up a bunch of actions, where you just use them as to give you a static bonus on damage, or to make have a group of minions make a single attack with a big bonus to attack and bonus to damage for their numbers.
Interesting. That's clever. Yeah.
But one of my favorite hero concepts is the Duplicator. Somebody who has no superpowers other than sometimes they're three people.
Right. There are a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so what kind of, well, that's interesting. So their power is really just making, three of them, like that. Is that the max is the limit, three, or what kind of?
If you're a triplicate girl, it is.
Okay, fair. I mean,
If your concept is I can be three people, then three is the limit.
Mechanically,
you can keep stacking up extras and have a dozen or 64, 128, or
gotcha.
I would not, as the GM, go that high or let your players buy that high.
That's kind of
slows down combat,
and that's kind of what I'm after. Is like, what is that limit? Where do you? I mean, I think the player always knows where that is, and then goes one little step farther. Like that's just kind of that's just sort of the way that works.
I mean, the power is really built to be. I summon one thing that can fight for me, or I summon 4 weak things that'll soak up some hits for me.
Right. Or I've got this baby in a boil on my back that I've just popped out 4 or 5 of them, for
they're cysts.
Oh, cysts, Troy. Right. Shoot.
Yeah. God, that is so insensitive, Troy.
Right?
Twisted sister.
Yeah, remember, they're sisters.
God, it's just really gross.
Troy is making a joke to a character we released on the Patreon a couple weeks ago, whose power is she can grow clones of herself in little cysts on her back.
And they can do different things, right? Like they can have different power sets.
They can have different skills and ability scores, and
she can make posh cyst and baby cyst and icy cyst.
Right.
It's gross. And together they form the Twisted Sisters. Yeah, no, that's just really gross. Okay, well, so I really want to talk more about sort of these building these complementary characters or complementary but we're like running out of time. We gotta.
Well, we've got business to cover, right?
We got some business to cover, not the least of which. So now, Steve, you wrote something up. It was the challenge point stuff, and I conveyed that to our Patreon as a kind of like a play test. Check it out. It's sort of like a. Not official, but have some fun with it. Your mileage may vary. No holds barred. Don't bug us about it. If it works, it's great. If not, but it really has anytime that you introduce any of conversation around mechanisms and the stuff for mutants and masterminds, it is
People have opinions.
it's evocative. I mean, it really gets people juiced up. And
Sure.
and so, do you want to talk let's just touch real quickly on some of the things that we addressed, and just as sort of a sneak peek into what Patreon Land's all about.
Okay, well, so real briefly, we had a discussion on our last Mutants and Masterminds Monday about the concept of a hero points-like resource for villains. And we've seen different manifestations of that in Mutants and Masterminds products to one degree or another, and we talked about a lot of the different ways we've done similar sorts of things that say, the villain can take this advantage or the other, in this particular instance. And that was a really inspiring conversation. So I put together a set of, just a rough set of notes that said, hey, this is one way you could look at that kind of a system if you wanted to systemize it. And just put it out there because, our patrons are sort of A-list Mutants and Masterminds fans.
Truth.
And, have, as I expected, would have thoughts about the matter. And it was just curious to see, right, what people would think of it, as far as that goes. The interesting thing about challenge points was that they're, for the most part, just sort of encoding a lot of the sort of slightly more vague and squishy aspects of game mastering Mutants and Masterminds into more sort of gamified language. But, there's nothing stopping M&M Game Masters from doing pretty much all of the things that system describes without having any imaginary points to do it, because they are, essentially the, being in charge of their own universe. And get to decide everything that happens in it. But it's, sometimes, just having that back and forth of having a system can remind game masters that those opportunities exist. Having something written in a stat block, like Alex was saying, when you have those favored maneuvers written down, that all of a sudden becomes a useful reminder in gameplay rather than, the infinite range of possibilities that you have to think about otherwise. So I think that's probably the most useful aspect of that system is it puts something in front of the game master that says, hey, you could do this thing.
I love it. If you're wondering what the heck it is that we're talking about, you'll have to go to patreon.com/mutants and masterminds, and we have another announcement. So we're gearing up for a kind of 12 days of Christmas sort of thing, but it's pre-Christmas, kind of around sort of a around like Black Friday, sort of, early enough for you to buy presents for your beloveds or just yourself if you're a selfish jerk like I am. And we'll have a bunch of digital assets that are all Mutants and Masterminds, from maps to I think I saw a map that we were going to put in one of the days. It was Petey Popcorn's Party Palace? No, it was Pete E.
No, that's right. It's Petey Popcorn.
Is it Pete E. Popcorn? Okay.
Yeah, it's PT Popcorn's or Pizza Palace.
Family House, Family Fun House, Family.
I think it's Family Fun House.
All we know is that it's rat themed, and your players will love it.
That's right, and you get food there. It's rats serving you food.
But come down to our greasy rat casino. You'll like it.
You'll love it.
Hey, it works for Disney.
Fun for the whole family.
That's right. So that's going to be in there. But the rest of the world at large, we'll say the not so elite, perhaps, they will be able to, kind of get at that stuff, when the presents are opened. Who knows when that's going to happen and what that's going to take. But if you're in the Patreon, you're just going to get it. We're just going to give it to you.
Ooh.
One of the folks said, "Oh, well, what do we
Crazy.
got to do? Do we have to like tweet and do some stuff?" And I was like, "No, you just have to exist as a patron, and you will get showered with Christmas bounty." I'm even feeling like, there are other digital things that are going in. I mean, people who love Mutants and Masterminds, they tend to love some other stuff that we do as well. So maybe we'll throw that in too. I don't know. The patrons will demand it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's one thing that we're cooking. We've also got the stat blocks that drop. That's twice a week. We've got characters that we've statted up
Mhm.
that have been resurrected from the past, and we tell a story about like where are they now. Talk a little bit about sort of their background and like who's carrying on the legacy today, and
Mhm.
then
Some cases.
in some case, yeah, and then we've got special blog posts from Crystal, Steve, and Alex. We've got creature stat. Like we're doing a lot of stuff. I'm thinking of the whole list. It's
Mhm.
pretty expansive.
We're developing a small supplement for the city of Starhaven.
Ooh, yeah.
And talking about basically putting stuff up as it's developed and sharing that with the patrons. We've got art coming in for that soon that I'm really excited to get to share.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's Starhaven right now, what they've got so far is they've got. Have we given them the map yet? I know that we've.
Have we not given them the map? Troy,
I know.
you've had map for
Boy,
weeks.
the map.
It's me. Well, I'm gonna look. I wrapped it up, and I wanted to give it to them for Christmas, so maybe I'll give it to you
Okay.
early today. No, I think we did. I think you
Let
might.
them open their Thanksgiving Day presents early.
That's right. Gobble gobble.
Pull off the giblets
That's
and make
right.
a wish.
Oh, could you imagine? Happy birthday! Here's your bag of giblets.
I can't hear gobble gobble without
giblets.
cracking up anymore.
Ooh.
Me either.
I was in Thanksgiving the musical, and Gobble Gobble was one of the big songs.
I'm sorry, you're in what again? The Who?
Thanksgiving the musical.
Thanksgiving
music.
the musical.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, that is a whole story we don't have time for.
Yeah, we are running out of time. We have at least 30 seconds if you want to maybe sing a like a bar of
I am A-okay on that.
Okay, go then. You mean you don't want to do it? You're good.
No,
You're like,
no.
okay. Next time. Sorry, everybody, that Alex is ruining your Thanksgiving. But yeah, so head over to the Patreon. We've got if I have, and I'm just forgetting. Otherwise, you got a bonus map coming. In addition, we've done what? How many villains have we done? Is it 3?
Oh gosh.
2 or 3?
3 for Starhaven and like
Oh gosh, yeah.
4 monster stat blocks.
Yeah, that's. I think it's
And-
4. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a write up of the districts. We did a write up of the history of Starhaven.
Yep. We've got a lot more coming.
Ooh, we did elections for who runs Starhaven.
Who runs Starhaven?
Who runs
Town?
Starhaven Town? Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's really a blast. We are planning some other stuff. In addition, we're gonna get the people who are playing tonight with Alex. They're all patrons. And so, we hand selected them. They're going to come and have a good time. But you can be in that whole crew, getting all of this great stuff. And I think the lowest entry is like $3. Like that's pretty
bargain.
Pretty much a bargain. Yeah. And temporarily, until we figure out what we're going to do, everybody that comes in will get access to the back library that's been there forever. And so that's quite a few stat blocks. We got to figure out how we're going to bundle those together and capitalism, we got to make one. So go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, just capitalism. If I had my druthers, I would just write RPG material all day.
Yeah.
Right.
Hard to exchange, just sort of a manuscript for food, and
Yeah.
I
but
can't just write for exposure all day.
That's
as much
right.
as I wish I could.
That's right. But we really try to make the Patreon a value and of interest, and we listen. So if you were passionate about something, come check it out. Just take a peek.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Let's see, what else do we have cooking? Well, I was going to talk about, Alex, your thing tonight. That starts at 6 Mountain. Is that correct?
I think so.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it feels right. It feels
12
right.
o'clock my time.
Yeah, I think
That's
honestly.
right. It's 6 o'clock Mountain.
Thank you,
All
Alex.
right.
Alex, you too. This is a little shtick we do. Who am I? What am I? I have amnesia.
You know, I'm here. I'm the
What's
brooding
happening now?
amnesiac.
Nobody
My
uses
content
mountain
flow.
time anymore. It's like farthings.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, no one trades in mountains except for maybe Green Ronin, Tales of the Mounts and Ships of the Mounts and the
Right.
Time,
Time from the mount.
Time from the Mount and Mutants and Mounts and yeah. So for those who don't know, Alex is running a actual play in a ridge of his making. Essentially, sounds like some kind of naughty party with the gods.
Oh yeah, that's probably the best description you can come up with.
Nice. All right. Well, you
Right.
won't
Well,
want to
it's
miss
the
it.
Greek gods, so chances that drama will happen,
That's
Much
right.
drama.
Much drama. Yeah. So, in addition to that, I was going to say next Thursday, it's Thursday, but it's not because it's Thanksgiving.
Nope.
I cannot believe
Is it Thanks Age?
I think it's
Right.
age giving. Age giving is probably more appropriate for
Let's workshop that.
yes.
Isn't it just a birthday?
Isn't it just a birthday?
Yeah, age giving.
Yeah, that
Age
is
giving.
true.
Yeah, it
or
kind of is.
just working in the tabletop roleplay space is pretty age giving, if you know what I mean. I like this. Liscard says, "Hey, I live in Mountain Time." I didn't. Yeah, so
Is that like living in Roman times?
I think it is.
Mhm.
I think
Right.
back in the day when mountains ruled the earth.
The earth. It's better than mountains roaming the earth.
That's true.
I like my mountains to stay put.
I do too, but they do.
Unfortunately, I live in Times New Roman. instead of
Oh,
Roman.
geez, that's such a tired font.
Wow.
So tired of it. It's awful.
Font humor.
Yeah, you do strike me as more of a Comic Sans kind of guy, though.
Oh.
That's because I'm
That's
Sans
bad.
comedy.
Let's say I like it. That joke finished itself. Well, speaking of showing ourselves out, I think we might have come to the end of this day. I want to extend just a very fond and thankful thanks to both Trevor and Vicky. This is so much fun, and I love that you're doing this. I love that you're creating this inclusive space for gamers to come together and for us to come and hang out. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody who's been hanging out and listening. We have a blast when we do this. It's just really a true time of just great fun and also good information. And with all of that comes a great Patreon. So you want to head over to our Patreon and check that out as well. And that's patreon.com/mutants AND masterminds. Anything else for the good of the order, Crystal?
Oh, I mean, coming up on a big holiday here in the U.S., so enjoy responsibly. If family time is difficult for you, then just remember, you're not alone. You can make it through this.
We've all been
Good
there.
luck.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Indeed.
we're all going to go over to Crystal's house. So just, let us know. We'll make the arrangements.
Corgis, come on.
The corgis are ready.
The corgis are calling you. How about you, Steve?
I wish everybody in the U.S. a good holiday for over the long weekend. Stick with us for our upcoming M&M Mondays and check out everything that we've got coming to you. We've got a lot of stuff in the works, and I'm hoping that things will begin flowing a bit more as we get our schedule back under control.
That's right. And we've also got the big holiday capade that we're planning.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Troy,
Yeah.
I know Troy has got all kinds of plans.
Oh
so.
yeah. Just buckle up. It's gonna be remarkable for sure. Hey, Trevor, I know you wanted to maybe jump in and have a quick word before we called it a day. Take the microphone.
Oh, thank you, Troy. I just wanted to say thank you very much on behalf of Vicky and myself and the rest of the RPG Alliance Con. Thank you so much for coming down and doing this. It was great to have you here. Vicky's down at our in-person venue today. We're doing a hybrid day, so that's why she's here in the audience. She's got a feed coming from the place down there.
I
It's a
see
little
that.
bit noisy, so she might not be able to get her audio going with us. But actually, Vicky would like to say a few words, but I just wanted to thank you all for coming. Thank you, Troy, very much for arranging all of this. It was a pleasure to meet you and get to know you. Thank you, Steve, Alex, and Crystal. Thanks very much for letting us be a part of your M&M Sunday. Usually Mondays, but thanks for making it special for us. It was fun. It was like being part of your regular panel, kind of like we used to do before all this online stuff happened.
Right.
And from us here in Canada, happy Thanksgiving to everybody coming up in the USA, and have yourself a fantastic November. Thanks again, Troy.
Absolutely.
Hi
Yeah.
guys, just want to pipe up here live from Dickens Pub. We all here, we've been listening to the panel. We want to thank you, creators, Steve, Alex, Crystal. Been big fans of you folks. Thank you so much. It's always great to be able to talk to creators. And just from a little shout out from us here in Dickens Pub, Green Riders!
Hey, nice. I
All
love
right,
it.
we love you guys. Sorry we can't be more with you, but hey, next year maybe we'll get some Mutants and Masterminds here live in Calgary. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Troy.
Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. All right. I think with that we have reached the end of this particular broadcast. We will be taking the next. We won't be broadcasting tomorrow, so this is your Monday, and so if you missed it, you better watch it tomorrow. And Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving, so we'll be back next week with all kinds of new stuff. We're rolling into that holiday like wow, a lot of good things happening. Definitely keep your eye open for all that good stuff. With that, I think we're done. All right, friends. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.
Bye.